Yes. No victory horns tonight. It is the victory drums following UFC Vegas 103. And the beat goes on for one Manel Starboy Kape, who finishes Asu Almabayev, snaps Almabayev's 17-fight winning streak. Third round TKO. However, mired in a little bit of controversy as we welcome you to the UFC Vegas 103 post-fight show. I am Mike Heck, and joining me to react to all of this is me. That's it. This is your show. It's going to be just me this evening. There's a lot going on. We got the Tank Davis, Lamont Roach boxing match going on right now. We're a little stretched thin right now. So here I am rolling solo on this Saturday night following another big fight night event at the world's most famous Apex. And it was capped off by Manel Kape just kind of running over Asu Almabayev. And it was one of those fights that when you watch it, when you saw the first couple minutes play out, you sort of knew where this was all going. It was all going in the direction of Manel Kape. Asu Almabayev just had nothing for Manel. The speed, the movement, the feints, everything Manel was doing which had just completely thrown Asu Almabayev off. Almabayev couldn't get any takedowns. He couldn't get anything going. And it was one-way traffic for Manel Kape. Now, there is, like I said at the beginning of this, there is a little bit of controversy here because in round two, there was a moment where Almabayev says he gets poked in the eye. Mike Beltran, the referee, stops the action and goes to the review official sitting cage side. Review official looks at it and says, nope, it was a legal shot. Continue on fighting. And the round continued on for the next several seconds. Round comes to an end. Then at the end of the round, we go to a replay and it was an eye poke. It was more of a, wasn't like a direct like poke, but it was more of a scrape, open-handed scrape to the eye, which in most cases should have been, the fight should have been halted. Almabayev should have gotten his 5 minutes to recover, much like Henry Cejudo did at UFC Seattle the week prior. But it went on and we head to round three. And round three, things are starting to heat up a little bit. Almabayev, I thought, actually had a bit better of a round two. Definitely, there was a couple of combinations that Kape landed that certainly won him the round. The jumping knee, the big right hand. Momentum was starting to head towards Kape's direction, more so heading into round three. Then, on the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, we see another eye scrape from Manel Kape. Almabayev just kind of squints the eye. Referee Mike Beltran doesn't do anything about it. And that eventually led to Manel Kape just icing out Asu Almabayev, and Kape gets the win. So, look, I see it in the comments already. I saw some people on Twitter talking about it. Henry Cejudo even commented on it, saying that eye pokes are the biggest threat to the growth of the sport. I think that's a little bit short-sighted. He admits that he's biased in the situation, but all in all, it's kind of crazy that this continues to be an issue in these fights. However, I will say this. I don't think it made a damn a difference. I don't think much was going to change. Maybe Almabayev doesn't get stopped in round three, but he wasn't going to win that fight. Almabayev just had nothing for him. But the eye pokes were a little rough, and the fact that they were not called, there wasn't even a chance for Almabayev to take the 5 minutes, especially after the first one, when they had two people look at it. Beltran stops it. They have a replay official who reviewed it and was like, nah, it's not an eye poke. And then they show it on the replay, and clear as day, it was a friggin' scrape to the eye. So this stuff just continues to be a problem. It continues to be an issue in this sport. And in some people's respects, it takes away from what Manel Kape did tonight. Again, I don't think the result of this fight was in question at all. Asu Almabayev was not going to win this fight. There's nothing he was going to do to win this fight. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. We all watched the same fight. But perhaps Almabayev could have made it to the final cards. Who the hell knows? But just a weird game plan from Almabayev. Kape looked fantastic. Take the eye pokes aside, he looks tremendous in the fight, and he calls for a title shot. And the reason I was going to start this a little bit earlier, but the reason I waited was because they had Pantoja, Alexander Pantoja, the flyweight champion, on the post-fight show with Kape sitting there, and Pantoja jumps on and drops a 10-minute promo, a love fest, if you will, about how great Manel Kape is. And then Kape kind of answered in the same tone, and nothing really happened there. So now the big question is, what does the UFC do? Because I know there's reports, there's rumor and innuendo that Pantoja is going to fight Kai Kara-France in June. The UFC has yet to announce that fight. We have yet to fully confirm that fight. So the question is, does the UFC roll forward with that fight? Or do they call an audible if the pen has not gone to paper yet, if the ink has not dried? What's the more interesting championship fight? Is it Manel Kape coming off of 2 finishes fighting Pantoja? Or is it Kai Kara-France, who lost a few fights, came back, got a finish of Vinny Stevie Erceg? Who's the more deserving title challenger, I guess, is the question. It's kind of tough to answer, for being honest. I would say I would lean a little more towards Kape here. And I know some people may not agree because of the eye pokes, but again, a win is a win. And I don't think in the overall story here that Manel Kape is going to lose that fight. So that's a question that we can ponder. We are still waiting on bonuses, I believe. And I will let you know what those bonuses are once they come up. Let me see if the UFC has announced said bonuses yet. They have not. Let me just take a little gander, flying on the seat of my pants here. But that's the way we like to do it here. Let's see. Nope, no bonuses yet, but I will let you know what those bonuses are. And yeah, Manel Kape gets the big win. Co-main event, or the penultimate fight as we will call it, a wild brawl between Cody Brundage and Julian Marquez. It was mouthpiece gate. Both guys are landing big shots. Both guys are hurt. Both guys lose their mouthpieces. Referee Mark Smith picks up the mouthpieces. He's trying to figure out the right time to stop the action and give them both back their mouthpieces. And I think the way that fight was going, there's no real good time to stop the action to give the mouthpieces back. And the mouthpieces get put back in, action resumes, and Cody Brundage eventually finishes Julian Marquez in just a crazy 4 minutes and 45 seconds. What a friggin' round that was. So big win for Cody Brundage. Needed that one badly. We'll see where Julian Marquez goes from here. Julian Marquez is one of those guys. Jed and I talk about this all the time. There is value to fighters like Julian Marquez who, one, will never give you a boring fight. He may not win a lot of them, but he's never in a boring one. If he gets you in highlight reel fashion. And if he gets got in highlight reel fashion. There's value to fighters like that on the roster, especially in a division like 185, where it just continues to get better and better. But overall, like on paper, this fight card was poop. It was poop. And UFC Vegas 104 is way worse. But we understood that, look, if you have better things to do, go do them. But if you sat down and watched this card, you had a pretty good time. You got some good fights. Nasrat Haqparast, Esteban Rivovic, great fight. Haqparast wins his 5th straight fight. It was a split decision, super close. I thought Rivovic won, but I'm not here to say robbery or argue with anything. It was just a super close fight, and it came down to one judge scoring it the other way. We had another split decision in the fight before that, just a crazy fight between Haider Emil and William Gomis, which, if you looked at that fight on paper, you thought to yourself, boy, this is going to go one of two ways. Either Haider Emil is going to catch him and knock him out, or William Gomis is going to William Gomis all over the UFC Apex and just hold Haider Emil up against the fence, get takedowns, lay on top of him, do what he typically does to win fights. And through the first maybe 2.5 minutes of that fight, that's what we were looking at. I actually had my little brother on the phone. We were talking because he had a bet on Haider Emil, and we're talking through it. And I'm like, boy, William Gomis is doing William Gomis things right now. But then something magical happened, and Haider Emil lands a big exchange. He gets in Gomis' face, and Gomis is throwing spinning stuff over and over and over again. And that fight ended up being 100 times more fun than anybody thought it would be. And it was a terrific battle. But in the end, Haider Emil wins the split decision. And I think they got that one correct. I thought Emil won rounds 2 and 3. First round, I thought Gomis won. Great fight. Super great fight. upset there. We had an upset in the main card opener. Sam Patterson knocks out Danny Barlow in the first round. Not a lot of people saw that coming. He gets it done. Huge win for Sam Patterson. 3 in a row for him. 3 straight first-round finishes for him. Hell of a performance. Mario Pinto, what a UFC debut for him. He just colds Austin Lane in round 2. Kind of a scary start if you're a Mario Pinto bettor. Looked a little trepidatious early on, but then once round 2 hit, he was back to being what Mario Pinto always has been and just obliterates Austin Lane. I'm sure that's going to get a bonus once you figure that out. Chepe Mariscal, Ricardo Ramos, really fun fight. Mariscal is real good, undefeated in the UFC, just continues to put wins together. Hell of a fight there. Danny Silva, Lucas Almeida was a hell of a fight. Silva wins the splitty in that one. JJ Aldrich, Andrea Lee. It was a fight. It was a fight that happened, and JJ Aldrich gets her 10th win. She gets her BJJ black belt, and Andrea Lee loses her record 6th consecutive fight. And I would say that would probably be it. From what I understand, win, lose, or draw, that was the final fight on Andrea Lee's UFC contract. So I think probably the UFC just kind of let her, what's the harm of throwing her in the apex to do one more? And you threw her up against somebody who's a wily vet, much like her, who's fought a bunch of times, someone she hasn't fought yet in the UFC. Let's just do that. And JJ Aldrich gets the victory, and the night kicked off with Ramazan Temirov and Charles Johnson having a super fun fight. And Temirov wins 29-28 across the board. Charles Johnson was a little bit pissed off. I saw some fighters kind of pissed off about that decision, but I actually thought Temirov won. I thought he won the first 2 rounds, and Johnson won round 3. But again, super competitive fight. All in all, this is a pretty damn good card. It was a pretty damn good card. So there were worse things we could have done on a Saturday night. So let's see if we got bonuses yet. And I will let you know what they are. I'm not seeing them. Come on, UFC, get your shit together. No bonuses yet. All right, no bonuses yet. Once we get them, I will let you know. All right, but now we can have some fun for the next 20 or so minutes. Let's talk to you guys. Let's see what you guys have to say. Johnny Y, 2 cheat bucks for Mike's coffee fund. Appreciate you, Johnny Y. Tom, listen, I have been drinking, smoking, I'll say cigars, and having a hell of a time with this card. It was okay. 7 out of 10. Hit a plus 2,600. Love your vibes, Jed. Love the fellas. Jed's not here, but I will make sure to tell him your kind words and what you had to say. A lot of people saying there's cheating going on in the main event, and let's see, 2 fights in a row that Kape has followed the other guy and gotten the finish because they didn't stop the action. That's fair. All-time bad bumbling buffoon stoppage by referee Mike Beltran. Horrendous officiating in the lead up to it as well. Shame. Not a lot of people happy with the decision. Kape acted like it was a legit stoppage when everyone could see he's a lame cheater, but Eric Nixick is happy the ref didn't take a point this time. I mean, I don't know about that. I'm sure he's happy for his guy. Spencer, Mike, I'm damn excited for Alex Ankalaev, my most anticipated booked fight right now. Really legitimizes the light heavyweight run for Alex. Do you share my excitement for this? Yeah, this is the fight that should have been made a long-ass time ago. I think it's the most... It's not the biggest fight Alex Pereira can have right now, but I certainly think it's the most interesting fight Alex Pereira can have right now because of any guy he can fight in this division currently, this is the one guy who can beat him. And I'm here to tell you, I'm picking Alex Pereira. We have the watch party next week. I already have a bet on Alex Pereira to win this fight. I think he's a damn good chance of winning. I thought he's had a damn good chance of winning for a long ass time, for well over a year now. I was like, if they book this fight, I'm picking Alex Pereira, and we'll see how it plays out. And let's see if Ankalaev's a man of his word. Is he going to go in there and strike with Alex Pereira like he's promised? Not so sure. If he does, it's going to be a tough ass night for him. Let's see if he gets takedowns and Even if he does, let's see how much improved Alex Pereira's gotten on the ground. Excuse me. Joseph, should Nasrat Haqparast get a ranked opponent next time we see him? No, he shouldn't. Good win. Rivovic is fun. He's got a bright future. I actually thought he won. Rivovic is like at best the 25th ranked lightweight right now. So I don't know if beating the 25th ranked lightweight gets you a ranked guy. I know he's on a nice run, but maybe I think maybe the best he could hope for is that he gets the Jalen Turner Bahamondes winner, but he might end up getting the loser of that fight. I don't know. The problem with Nasrat is he's a good fighter, but there's just like nothing there that the UFC is just like, yeah, we got to push this guy to the moon. He's not Patty. He's not a guy that has like superstar potential. He's just a solid hand who is winning fights. And this is a division full of stars. And it's a tough division to move up. So it'll be interesting to see where they go from here. Let's see. I mean, we're going to match week for him on to the next one. I mean, maybe you throw him in there with maybe he gets the Joel Alvarez fight. Maybe you do that. But I kind of think he's in the Drew Dober, Mateusz Rebecki, Joel Alvarez, Drew Dober, Carlos Diego Fajeda position right now. Like maybe he gets like a Grant Dawson. I don't know. But I'll say he won't. I'll say, if I had to guess, he will not be fighting a ranked guy next. Tanvir thought Rivovic won, but hats off to Nasrat for fighting while fasting for Ramadan. Dude, he fought his ass off. It was a good fight. I mean, it's a terrific fight. Terrific fight. Terrific performance. Even if he lost, it's not the end of the world. And yeah, still trying to get you guys some bonuses here. Oh, we got him. Shit, they've been out for that long? How have I not seen this? Fight of the night, Haqparast versus Rivovic. Performance of the night, Pinto, obviously, and Manel Kape gets a performance of the night bonus. Interesting. All right, let's get some more of these questions. I want to see Jed's face after his Almabayev will do Makayev thing, but slightly better. The Slack channel was lit up by Jed. It was some bad. It was some bad stuff. Bye, Eric. We will not miss you. Anik is better at doing the ref's job than Beltran. I mean, Anik knows the rules. So. Does Kape jump into title contention or do you rebook Brandon Royval? Nah, he's ahead of Brandon now. Mike called the co-main. I called a lot of things on this card. I mean, the co-main, we knew what it was. It was, let's get to the main event as fast as possible. Because these are two guys in the top, they're between 50 and 60 ranking-wise, but they're both guys who get or get got on a pretty consistent basis. So, yeah. Let's go with that. And I thought the Hyder-Emil fight, I mean, it was way different, but I was like, that fight is going to be a split decision. There's no doubt in my mind we're going to Splitty City there. And that is what happened. So it was a good one. Should Andrea Lee get her walking papers now that she's lost 6 in a row? Like I said earlier, it's the last fight on her deal. So I would say she will not be She will not be fighting in the UFC again. I enjoy Mike, Jed, etc., but they do favor Kape. He doesn't deserve a title shot. I mean, let's just throw this out there. We both picked Almabayev to win the fight. So, but man, like, Kape's finished 2 guys in a row. And like, you could say the eye pokes and all that shit, what have you. It is what it is, but it wasn't called. And it's not his fault. Manel Kape is not supposed to stop fighting because he thinks he might have eye poked somebody. It is his job to continue to fight. Referee Mike Beltran allowed the fight to continue, and Manel Kape killed him. Like, that's what happened. So, again, the question is, who would you rather see fight for the belt? Would you rather see Kai Kara-France fight for the belt? Let me just pull him up real quick and just see what he has done lately. So, Kai Kara-France is 1-3 or 1-2 in his last 3 fights. He got finished by Brandon Moreno. He lost to Amir Albazi. And he knocked out Vinny Siggs. So 1-2 in his last 3. He's just kind of the available guy who is coming off of a win. Or do you go with Manel Kape, who has finished his last 2 opponents and he's what, 5? He's won 5 of his last 6 or 6 of his last 7. I don't know. I don't think you can go wrong either way. And I'll be honest with you, Pantoja is going to win both of those fights. And Pantoja's on another level right now. So that's just kind of how I have the read on this. What else we got? Mike, to be honest, I'd like to see Kape face Brandon Moreno. I'm picking Moreno to beat Usyk in Mexico City, by the way. I really think Moreno's just better than Kape. Maybe. Heard Mike was alone, so I had to come check up on him. I'm all right. My kid is chiming in. I don't even know how you know this stuff, Gray. What do you think about the fight Kape versus Almabayev? It was a fight that happened and Manel Kape won. So there you go. Shout out to my kid. Left Blade, did you agree with the Gomi versus Emil and Esteban versus Nasrat decisions? I agreed with Emil. I did not agree with Nasrat, but it was super close, and I'm not arguing it either way. Both guys got bonuses for fight of the night, which is awesome, and it deserved it. It was just high-level shit, man. But the cool thing about this card is there were a few fights on here that you could make a compelling case should have got fight of the night, and that one got it down. So that's what's up. Peter, thank you. Appreciate that. I hope we do too. I hope we do too. I think Kape would be a fresh opponent for Pants. Is that true? Didn't they fight before? Yeah, they did fight before. I know I'm not crazy. Pants beat him in his UFC debut. That was a while ago, so. It's so funny that you say this. Can't wait for the Vittori Deletes A2 watch party. We've been pondering like doing watch parties for like the worst of the worst cards just to do something cool and fun. So I don't know. Maybe we'll do that. I don't freaking know. Any update on Fiziv's weight? I'm not too concerned about that. Dude is a pro. Shout out to you, Damien. Let's try to get through as many things. I'm seeing Elimination Chamber spoilers. I turned it off. What else we got? Peter. LTBC, Mike Heck, and Jit on the same show together. Let's do it, man. I'm down. We love the MK guys. They're my favorite. They're like, we are big fans of the Morning Combat guys. We try to get them on BTL as much as possible. We vibe and we think about the sport in the same ways. People think we're haters, even though we're not. They think we hate the UFC when we don't. They think we only shit on the UFC, but we don't shit on anybody else, which is absolutely not true. We're just misunderstood people. We just want the sport to be great. We want the best for it. That's all. Gaethje said that Gamrot's name was never discussed as a replacement, but Gamrot said his manager told him he was definitely considered. Thoughts? Look, maybe Gamrot got a call. Maybe his team got a call. Who knows? And maybe Justin Gaethje was never told that Gamrot was an option. I mean, it's very possible that both things can be true. This is the UFC after all, so it's very possible that both things can be true. Having said that, there is zero chance Mateusz Gamrot was getting this fight. Zero. I mean, I'll say 1%. The only chance Mateusz Gamrot was getting that fight is if literally nobody else would have taken it. And I'm not saying this to be a mean person. I'm putting myself in the UFC shoes right here. Out of all the options that could have happened, Mateusz Gamrot was the very last one. They want a fun striking fight. And while Mateusz Gamrot versus Dan Hooker was a fun striking fight, something tells me Gaethje versus Fiziev 2, although not a fresh matchup, is going to be a more thrilling affair than Gaethje versus Mateusz Gamrot. And I think the UFC probably looked at that the same way as well. Kind of surprised like maybe Jalen Turner didn't get the opportunity because he's on the card. So maybe he was a name that could have been mentioned. I don't know. Teixeira was ranked after his first UFC fight. I could see Pinto getting ranked Tuesday. Heavyweight division is terrible. It's real bad. It's real bad. And Mario Pinto is a breath of fresh air. He's 26. A 26-year-old heavyweight who can just nuke you. It's exciting. It's exciting. I want to see this dude fight as much as possible. As much as possible. Just get him back. Just trot his ass out there and just let him compile a bunch of highlight reel knockouts. Let him do that for the next year and a half. Get him like 5 or 6 fights. I don't care if it's in the Apex or not. Just get him in there to light dudes up. Build him up. Heavyweight needs a star. I don't know if he's a star, but they need something to get this division moving. We need something to be excited about. Didn't cop miss weight a few times. Yes, seems to have gotten that under control, though. Mike, what do you think is Chepe's ceiling? I think he could be worth a top 10 ranking. Yeah. I don't know. He's good, man. Like, he is good. Let's look at what he's done in the UFC. Trevor Peek, I was at that fight. Took it on like a few days' notice. Jack Jenkins fight was crazy. Morgan Charrier fight was super close. A lot of people thought Morgan won that fight. Damon Jackson thumped him up. Did miss weight, though. And then he beat Ricardo Ramos, which is a good win. The problem with Chepe is... The problem with him, and it's the problem that like some other fighters have as well, and it's kind of an issue that Nasrat Haqparast has right now. Good fighter, just not all that interesting when the mic is on. And I know like Jose gives me shit and others give me shit about this, but I always talk about the importance of making your time count when you have a microphone. The post-fight interview matters. Not all the time, but when you're a guy like Chepe and you're trying to move yourself up the rankings and John Anik is saying, hey, you've won all your UFC fights. You've won 4 in a row in this division. I assume you want to fight a ranked guy. What do you want? And your answer is whoever the UFC wants me to fight. That's not going to get you a big fight. I'm sorry. It's just not. So... Like, if he's out there getting finishes every time out, that's a different story. Like, Steve Garcia got a fight with Edson Barboza. That fight was going to happen. It was signed, sealed, and delivered. Barboza got hurt. But Steve's just out there wrecking dudes. And at that point, like, you don't have to be all that interesting because you're out there just melting everybody. Chepe is just a fun-ass fighter. I would have liked to have seen a name come out of his mouth. So, for me, he's probably... Who's he going to fight? him and Nate Landwehr would be a lot of fun. Like, that's kind of what he's looking at right now. Maybe he gets a Bruce Leroy kind of a fight. Billy Q. Like, no one, who's going to complain about that? But I don't know. Could he get to top 10? Not ruling it out, but it's going to take time. Kape versus KKF, both don't deserve it. Pants deserves to fight Merab while they fight for number one contender. I think Pants versus Merab is something we could see sooner rather than later. I have no insight to this, but it seems like Merab's side, like I've heard Ray Longo talk about it, that he would love to see Pantoja fight Merab. And Pants has fought everybody already. So, I mean, if he's willing to drop that belt and go up to 135 and fight Merab, like I ain't hating. I would watch that fight. That's interesting. A lot of ceiling questions. Where do you think Sam Patterson goes from here? Where do you think his ceiling is? A little too soon to tell. That was a good win, man. That was a really good win. Any news on Montel Jackson getting a fight yet? Our one to watch this year is still silent. I believe he is booked. I believe he just got booked. Daniel Marcos. He's fighting Daniel Marcos. UFC Des Moines, May 3rd. What's Giga doing? I don't know. Good question. Duho Choi versus Chepe. Don't hate that. I wanted to see Duho Choi fight Bryce Mitchell, but Bryce fighting Gian Silva. Ilya's moving to lightweight because I think there's nothing left for him at featherweight. With that in mind, do you think if he beats Islam, he would want to go straight to welterweight? I mean, Jesus Christ, man. That'd be pretty wild. I hope not. Thank you, Peter. Appreciate that. Cena just turned heel. Breaking news. Kidding. Thanks for the content. I got to like the beginning of like the walkouts for Elimination Chamber, so. I wonder if Sam Patterson will be a favorite coming into his next fight after that performance. I don't know. Maybe. Depends if they throw him up there against. But yeah, all right. I think we've done the thing here for as much as we could do with this card. All in all, I think it exceeded expectations. I thought John Anik and Dominic Cruz did a pretty damn good job. And yeah. And shout out to Casey, man, whose fantasy team just continues to thrive. Holy shit. I'll take a few more. What the hell? If JDM beats Bilal, who most likely to get JDM first defense, Islam or Shavkat? Islam. If JDM beats Bilal, it's Islam Makhachev without question. He's vacating the lightweight belt and he will go up and fight the welterweight champion, which could be very interesting. And Shavkat's going to get kind of the hose, but it's how this sport works. Who does Dustin fight this summer? Don't know. If I had to guess, and this is a guess, I don't want any bullshit on social media. Mike Heck says this. This is me guessing. Max Holloway. What happened to Derek Lewis? Great question. Do not know. Actually like the two-man Apex crew. I completely agree. Oh, I'm glad somebody mentioned this. Great tribute to Dom. Was a great tribute to Dom. I thought for sure that he was getting a Hall of Fame nom, which would have been terrific. But I don't know. That whole thing just for a package video. I mean, it's cool, but I thought we were getting the Hall of Fame. Anik and Cruz is a really good combo. It's perfect. It was perfect. I said on the People's Pre-Fight show that this will be the best Dominic Cruz you've heard on a broadcast tonight. And I think he was. I think this was his best work. He doesn't have to fight for microphone time. John Anik knows him perfectly. They're like really good friends. And Cruz doesn't have to battle and bicker with Daniel Cormier and Michael Bisping. Cruz is at his best when it's not with DC or Bisping. If he's with Felder, he's really good. And he's with someone who knows his strengths. I think the Anik Cruz combo is a terrific one. And I would like to see more of that combo. Hall of Fame for Dom should be with the crowd. I agree. All right, a couple more. Mike, what's the chance to still see Hooker versus Gaethje before they hang up the gloves? I guess he needs to be Fiziev first, but I do wonder if we'll ever see that fight. I think we'll see it. Does Cruz belong in the Hall of Fame? Abso-friggin-lutely he does. True, Dave. True. Will they strip John before 2025 is over? No. No. They will not strip John Jones. They might. What they'll do is they will handle it like the Yuri Prohashka vacation of the title. They will strip John, but they will allow it to be presented in a way where John vacates. But that's just kind of how I see it. So, all right, we're getting out of here. AK and I doing some matchmaking tomorrow, sometime in the morning. We'll record it. It'll be up on the podcast network. So get excited for that. And then, ladies and gentlemen, once that is done, it's officially UFC 313 fight week. It's officially Poatan versus Ankalaev fight week. It's officially the return of Justin Gaethje fight week. And honestly, it's a pretty decent main card. I think it's going to be fun. Prelims are kind of poopy, but all in all, I think we're going to have a good time. And then the countdown to UFC 314 is on, which just continues to get better and better and deeper and more stacked and more stacked. And yeah, we got a lot of... March is going to be a pretty fun month. For the most part, we got this card out of the way. We got to kind of forget about what's happening 2 weeks from now with Vegas 104, because that is an awful fight card on paper. That main event is going to be a tough hang. But we get London, we get Mexico City, and then we're road showing it for the most part the rest of the way. We do have the Laurel Murphy, Josh Emmett card as well. But yeah, some fun times ahead, everybody. So thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed it. Hopefully back to normal next week. For me, I'm me. Have a good night, and we'll see you on to the next one tomorrow.